Shalom, shalom, shalom. So let's just get right to the point. Corrupt politicians rigging elections, rights, citizens' rights being stripped right in front of our eyes. Then tech giants on, the Google and this big tech giant platforms that's constantly over us and trying to manipulate what we hear, know, see, and think. These people aren't even these are multinationals. They're globalists. They're elitists. They are not even quote unquote Americans. All right. In the sense of their worldview is not my world. Otherwise, we'd be agreeing with each other. All right. Obviously not. Globalism versus nationalism. There's this biggest fight going on. And I can't even imagine. I'm glad I can just sit back and watch it. I don't have to be involved in it. There is such high level intrigue going on. I cannot even imagine. But the Father knows everything, and he is in control, and he has a plan. And I have to give this as a spoiler alert. I mean, I've always said in this thing, the message is very clear on the wrap up at the end of the age. It's always woe to the wicked, but tell the righteous it will be right well with them. And so it's really unprecedented what's going on. If you're suffering from PESD, post-election stress disorder, I can't imagine why. But listen, the media I put the present situation in the hands basically of two groups: the mainstream media, the conglomerates that are owned by 1 to 2 major individuals behind a facade of many, many, many multinationals. All right. Probably more than 2 individuals, but the 3%ers own the media, especially in America. It is nothing but a propaganda tool. Do not believe anything you hear. They are lying through their teeth. And this is it. They are about to get totally uprooted. The Father has had it. I'll tell you a little secret. I have been in this game for a long time. I quote unquote been a Christian for 40 years. And I've, seen a lot. I've had my own ebbs and flows. I've had my mountaintops experiences, my valley experiences, whatever, but I've remained faithful as the Father has remained faithful to me. And I'll tell you, I know exactly where we're going. He has heard our prayers. Praise Adonai. Do you know that there have been people in this country, all over the world, the remnant? You ought to be so thankful for the remnant who have been praying, pressing in for 30 years, 20 years, 40 years, even more years to bring this nation back to its righteous foundations. And you know what? Yes, it took a while. It took a while for us to get our act together, so to speak. But I'll tell you what, it's here. It's go time. The Father is going to answer prayer. And we are going back to quote unquote the gold standard. All right, in more ways than one. We are going to get back onto our foundation, which is one nation under God. And that God is Yahweh Elohim, the Lord God of Israel. Okay, so make the people who founded this nation were not confused. The most modern, biblically illiterate people are the ones who are confused. All right. But I'll tell you what, the Father is going to answer prayers. There is coming such a conservative tsunami. I'm just trying to tell people, brace yourself and be ready. All right. Because the Father has, and this is all prophetic. He's always said he was going to do this, but he is going to go through the whole earth. And America is a large part of the unfolding drama of the last days. People who don't think we're in the text are basically clueless because they do not understand who is who the players are, okay? But to the righteous, open-eyed, and prophetic elect, we're piecing it together. I'll tell you what, I'm standing with the prophets. I have to say 10 years ago, I kind of checked out of the whole prophetic camp, especially in America, because as far as I was concerned, it was a little disconcerting. I considered it to be a very carnal, albeit well-intentioned group. And so I went into other areas, and this is where I became into my studies of reading all the texts, so that I have a thorough grounding in all of Judeo-Christian understandings and writings. I get it now, what the big deal is, the sons of light versus the sons of darkness. I mean, what in the world? Okay. It's really very, very simple. But the Father is going to answer the prayers of mothers in this country who have prayed for their children for 2 generations now. The backsliding, we are so far off the mark, and we are receiving so many of the curses today. Hello, this is not, this is a dystopian nightmare we're living through, people. If you don't get that right now, all right, there's nothing normal about this. The lockdowns that they are just screaming at us right now. We got to lock you back up, lock you back up. Well, you know what? I got one word for you. It begins with an F. I'm sorry. It is just not going to happen. Okay. Most people have lost their sound mind. A sound mind is something that you can have, but it is only something that the sound is, it can only come from the true biblical principles and perspectives. Okay. Because I'm telling you what, this nation was founded on Judeo-Christian principles under the Judeo-Christian God for a very Judeo-Christian purpose. And it is open and welcome for anyone to be part of this great experiment, just so long as they follow the rules. But unfortunately, we have this crazy world today where this liberal media elite thinks that they can convince us, and they have been at it relentlessly for 30 years, that we're wrong, we're crazy, we're whatever we are. What are we, racist and just I don't want to care, whatever. We're just, we're not the good people, you're the good. No, I'm done with it. There's such an anger rising up, a righteous anger in the people of Elohim in this nation who are saying and are going to say and are going, enough is enough. There is pushback. It is needed because, as any pendulum, when anything swings too far to one side, the pendulum, it always comes back. It has to come back. That is a law of physics. And it's going to operate in this nation now. We have to swing back because we are so out of our minds today. And, the thing is, most people aren't, because there was truly a totally red wave with the Trump election. Most people, even though they, because the bullying, the intimidation, the mind control, the psychological warfare, the relentless barrage of bullshit that this media keeps trying to foist on people, yeah, you might be a little silent about it, but no more. Okay? The stakes are too high. People have woken up. They are awake. They're not woke. They are awake to what's going on. We are fighting principalities and powers right now. In a modern world, you could call them the handlers and the influencers that are behind so much of the corruption that we see, and they're about to be ferreted out. Listen, I have nothing to do with this. I think Trump is he is a tool. He is a battle axe in the Father's plan to help bring us back into more righteous alignment and harmony with him, his ways, his laws, and the way you conduct business. Okay. So we need this correction. We need it badly. And I do feel bad for people who, I know many Dems, I live with them, and I understand the goodness in the heart of everybody. Let me put it this way, I give the benefit of the doubt to most people. If they're not out, rioting and pillaging and doing really crazy, very unlawful things right in front of me, then I give people the benefit of the doubt, basically. But the point is, we need to swing this thing back, and it is going to be swung back, and it will come out of a conservative ideology. Because I'll just tell you, the Father, he works with what he's got, basically. But it is only the conservative element in our country who has kept this concept that, there is Torah law, there is law, there are standards, there are rules. They are for the wicked. The righteous don't need them because they're living their life obeying laws. We need to put teeth back into this whole concept. We need to straighten up unjust laws, but we sure need to enforce the just laws. And it's going to happen because we have got so many disruptive systems going on right now. There is so much to divert attention away from this. The media, who are masters at bells and, smoke screens and making people see all the kinds of bells and whistles except what's going on right in front of them. I got one commentator was saying, There's a car, it's blowing up right behind me, it's burning. And everybody's trying to say, the media's trying to, oh, no, don't worry, don't look, it's okay, everything's under control. No, it's not under control, people. If we don't get our act together and we don't figure out this election cycle, forget it, it's over. I'll never vote again. I will have zero confidence. It is rigged. It has been rigged. I'll tell you a little secret. You know how deep this is going to go? The state of California, because I lived there 30 years ago, and I know firsthand the level of corruption in that state. It's like mind-boggling. Now as an adult, more mature, and I understand how things work, and I look back and I see this, and I'm going, I can't believe those people were getting away with that. But they did, but not anymore. But I'll bet you anything that it's going to come down when we get down to how they have been rigging the software, rigging these elections. California has been a red state all this time. I'll bet you anything. And they have just totally trashed it. And when it comes out, it's going to be like a liberation. One of the things the Father says is, he comes to set his people free. I want to be set free from these demonic infiltrators, handlers, and influencers who are trying to tell me how to think and tell me I'm crazy. Oh, this backlash is going to be big. And I was going to start to say, I feel bad for Dems because very compassionate people, sometimes the more compassionate people actually you will find in the Democratic Party, because they understand, yes, there is injustice. Did you think somebody was going to give you a perfect world? I mean, I think by 5 years old, most people figure out it's kind of unjust. It's not like a perfect world. They kind of get a sense of this. And I don't know what you were thinking. You always have to fight for your freedoms and fight for justice. That's the whole point. All right. But now you have awoken the silent majority, and they are not going to go away, slither off into some dark night and just sort of be silent. No, this is our nation. This is the nation that my people. So don't tell me, and don't tell me who my people are. I know who my people are. Okay. No. Oh, snowflake out there. You couldn't hold a candle for 1 hour to one of these people. These are people who founded a totally nation of just wilderness with a few wilderness skills. Okay, and did it and had 10, 12 kids. All right, without technology, without refrigeration, without cars, without any of this stuff that we think is so nice, without cell phones. They were rugged individuals. They knew what it took to pull yourself and to make something of something. Most of the snowflakes today, I'm sorry, do not compare yourself. Do not think you're any better than your ancestors. Do not do it, because you are dead wrong. Now listen, let's get some facts straight here on how our government was set up. Let's start with the Mayflower contract, the oldest document we have, because I am done of rewriting this storyline. No, these people that founded our nation from about 1620 up until the time of the 1770s, when we basically had a government, we had a constitution, we had a Bill of Rights, we were really beginning to get or up until like the 1780s, and our first presidents, our first governmental systems were really starting to crank and everything. These people were Torah keeping, excuse me if that word offends you, that is the biblical word, okay? The Bible, all right? That was their book. That was their worldview. That was what they based their life on, in faith and in practice. And don't try to rewrite it anymore. Don't, because you're dead wrong. This Torah is a gift to mankind, and it will bring everybody up. It will benefit everyone, and it'll allow everyone to live a life under their creator with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as far as they want to take it, okay? But it is based on certain preconditions. Now listen, our founding branches of government were 100% taken from deep theological understanding of how Israel as a nation was set up. Don't even try to just give some other bullshit excuse about it, okay? If you read their writings. Now listen, we have 3 branches of government. It is based on the way Moshe set up for the tribes of Israel, okay? There is a judicial branch, there is a legislative branch, and there is an executive branch. It comes from having a judge to a lawgiver to the king, which is how Israel was set up. All right. This is deeply embedded. This concept is deeply embedded in all of our branches of government. This was the foundation, even to the fact of having the Senate and the legislators. All right. Is completely in the context where you have elders, and you have the 70 elders, and you have legislators. If people understood how Israel was set up with their heads of their households, heads of their tribes, heads of their clans, people who were proven to have integrity and honor, and could be in control, and were people that you could trust. You could listen, people. If you cannot trust the people that are making laws that affect your life day in and day out, and you secretly think, oh, they're taking bribes, they're taking, they're just wadding their own pockets, they're just full of bad conduct. Okay, that's not how it was supposed to be. Every person you sent to Washington was supposed to be somebody that you knew was a person of moral integrity, fortitude, and character, and was someone who would keep your values intact against always, because they weren't stupid. They just fought a war with Great Britain, the greatest military might on the planet at the time. That there are handlers and influencers. There are some, forces out there that might want to bring us under tyranny. Okay. And right now, those forces have got not past a foothold. Oh my gosh, they're sitting right in our government seats right now. And they need to go, and they will go. Nothing to do with what I have to, say, because, the election, which I absolutely believe is going to go in Trump's favor. I'm not quite sure how it's going to come down. I'm not saying the details of it, but the Father will not let his people be stripped of this victory right now, because we have prayed for it, and we have gotten our act together, and we know who we serve. And it is to bring everybody along so that everyone can be blessed. Okay. Now when we get down to this, it is founded on one thing and one thing only. Well, in terms of just so simple that a child can understand it. It's not even, these aren't even really deep things that you got to study hard to figure out and understand. All right. This is a brilliant system. But you have, these people, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, these people, you read their writings. They're quoting biblical concepts, biblical theology, biblical verses. They're talking about providence. They're talking about, God and all of their writings. There's nothing secular, people. Now, do they all totally agree on how every verse and chapter? No. That is what's the fun of the game, actually, when you can agree to disagree within the context of good behavior. All right. But this whole idea that, because I it's unfortunate. If I had known this 20 years ago, I never would have let my kids, kind of go down this. None of us would have let our children be so indoctrinated that they are today. All right. Now, the reason is because, if you just look at the platforms, God is not going to be mocked. All right. Now, anybody looks at the Democratic platform. Well, I know there's a lot of people who have deep compassion, and I get it, but it must be against a backdrop of law and order and Torah understanding. But what about the rest of the platform? Abortion on demand, and you've got these LGBT lifestyles that are about as out the window as you can get. Make no mistake. So much of it, globalism, just instead of a hand up, it's a constant hand out. This whole concept. I mean, the people who are awake, who have understood the agenda that is behind all this, understand what I'm saying. I don't have the time or space to go into detail. If you haven't been paying attention, then what can I say? But I just want to say for people, it's a blessing. It's going to be a blessing. It's a bitter pill. It's a bitter medicine, but it's a blessing if you want to keep this republic at all. We are not we are not part of the global elite. It's not our destiny. We are supposed to be the place out of the dragon's reach. Most people don't understand American prophecy. We are Israel. We are the other place. Look at your verses in the Hebrew. Get an understanding of how Yahweh was migrating his people, number one, all over the earth. And migrated them all the way over to this another place so that we can be a blessing to the nations. He did raise up another standard, another witness in the earth. Now, listen, people, there's a lot of difference between being mature and being perfect. I'm not saying America, I'm not saying we don't have our sin, believe me. But anything can be worked out in a backdrop of respect for law and order and civil relationships, okay? The biggest problem in America, and again, this is the second one I put 100% on the Dems' plate, because really in the last 4 years, it's been, I don't even know what to say. Well, it's called biblically, it's called the spirit of Racha. Yeshua, Jesus, said very clearly, it's reiterated in a bunch of verses. It's reiterated in John, 1 John. Here, let me just make sure I can find in Proverbs 3, 1 John 3, Proverbs 13, 1 John 3, 1 John 4. Here we are in Matthew 5:22. If you hate your brother, you walk in darkness. Now, for those who, brother is a generic word in the sense, it means mankind. Okay, I don't have a problem with using, pronouns when I know that they're all inclusive. All right. Okay, so let me explain what the spirit of Racha is. And this is the weaponization that's going on today. And this is why I put it at the Dems. I mean, we have always had boisterous. I come from a very political family, very big political discussions at the dinner table. A lot of, heated, debates and even arguments to the point. But, everybody gets up from the table. We're a family and we go have dessert or we go out and play, we like to play corn toss, whatever. Okay. But Racha it's an inherent sneer. I guess it's an attitude of superiority. It's an attitude that your brother, the person that you disagree with, is basically a deplorable. That there's something wrong with them. That it is a sense of an utter contempt for the person who doesn't agree with you. Not only they become empty-headed and stupid and inferior, and you don't know anything. Oh, I've had so many words thrown at me. It's so funny. It's just it's an unrighteous anger. It's like calling someone a fool. And this happened to me, and this is personal to me, because in my own family, I mean, my husband's sisters, who I love, beautiful, compassionate, salt to the earth Ephraimites, my husband would tell me, because I was supporting Trump in 2016. And it was like, even before the election, it was like, Dennis, what's wrong with Liz? Like an insinuation, and this is the way the spirit, what's wrong with her? Why isn't she with the program? She's a woman. Why isn't she with all these women rioters, doing this whole, I don't know what they were doing, but it was so disgusting to me. All right. Those women's marches, or how could I support Trump? But it was an impingement on my character. No longer could I just have a different political view, and I'm conservative. And I like things to be moral, ethical, based on Bible or standards of morality. But no, there was something really wrong with me. I couldn't be just a normal human being. I had to be messed up. Okay, now that is the spirit of Racha. Because that spirit, once you open the door to that, because if you understand Bible, that spirit comes in, but he opens the door and he tells all his other friends, come on, we got a stronghold, let's go. And they all come in. And this is what I talk when a principality in power now. That spirit has opened the door. And what Yeshua said, it opens the door to the spirit of murder. And that is a very serious thing. And that is what is going on. They're trying these. And when I say handlers, influence, the principalities and powers, and I don't have a chance in this, I'm not going to go on and give that deep spiritual understanding, which I will do, especially for those that are a little more advanced in their understanding. But that leads to what we have seen in our streets. That leads to what we see now. Complete divide, but on the brink of civil war. And that is very serious. And that is the national sin that we all need to repent of. Because we are Americans first. And our political idea, because I'll tell you what, 10 years, this whole little cabal, this brood of vipers, this nest of globalists that have taken over our government, they could be in the Republican Party in 10 years. These people don't care. They have no loyalty. They were in the Bush-Cheney years. Okay. Now they're in the Obama-Clinton years, completely corrupt crime families. Absolutely. And the evidence is there, 100 documented there, 100% there. But we have a corrupt media who is owned by the elite and will not let that information out. It's mind-boggling to me, the level of censorship that is right before our face, and yet most people are like, la, 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 Biden won, Biden won, Biden won. Just, if you repeat a lie often enough, that's the tactic. If you repeat a lie often enough, your people will believe it. And that has happened much in history. But that's not going to happen this time, okay? This election is not certified. This election is going to go through the court system, which is so fascinating because, well, I'll get to that in a second. But I do have to say this. We need to understand, if you hate your brother, the Bible's very clear. It says that you walk in darkness, okay? And that is why there's a lot of, darkness and confusion, because we have lost the civility to understand that even though we're all made in the image of Elohim, in his image and likeness, we're not all cookie cutters of each other. And there's a whole balancing act that goes on. I wish I could get Ezekiel's chair. I mean, there's so much deep stuff I can't go, but there's a balancing act. There's a reason we're all made a little different. Do you ever think about that? We're not a bunch of robots. We were never meant to be one collective robotic system. Okay. We're made up of individuals. And it's very important that we retain that individually, collectively, and as nations. Globalism is just another name for the New World Order, which is another name for the whole Antichrist system that is coming in, is trying to lock down the world and keep people from reaching their creator. But I'll tell you what, the Father's over it, and he's calling out his people. He's bringing his big gun soon, and he's saying, let my people go. Let them come out so they can worship me. It's too hard. I mean, you even got us locked down so you can't even go to church now. You godless bureaucrats. I am so sick of godless, God-denying, God-hating, Torah non-keeping people making policy for me. See, that's in this conservative way. That's what's going to stop. All right. And it isn't like I said, I don't think I finished that thought. It's not like you got to be perfect, but you certainly do need to be mature, be able to understand, have the ability to step back and look objectively at whatever it is that's going on. Oh, the car that's on fire in front of you. Yeah, you better be able to look objectively and take action to protect yourself. All right. Because the spirit of Raka, what it is in modern nomenclature, it's called weaponization. When polemics get weaponized. So no longer we see each other as individuals, with a past and a history and a people, that's fine. But all of a sudden, that idea that becomes weaponized, and that now becomes a tool to be used by the prince to beat people, literally beat people over the head, and try to confuse and to manipulate and to intimidate and to bully and to get them to just, basically throw down the towel and give up. It's like, all right, whatever, have your way. I mean, you ever had a kid who's having a hissy fit, and most parents say, you get to the point where it's like, whatever, just have it. I did it sometimes as a parent. It's a very bad, but it's a tried and true tactic. Well, you're not going to wear us down anymore, because this time the Father is energizing his people. He has weaponized himself. See, if a people can't get their act together and bring righteousness in, and the Father still has plans for that person, that ministry or that nation, he'll go and clean house, and he'll do it himself. And that's what we're about to see. There is going to be so much light put on some of the most corrupt people and systems, institutions, organizations, groups in this nation we've ever seen. And so everybody just man up and take the bitter medicine and live through the side effects, because we are going to come out the other side, and then we are going to get our act together, and we are going to fulfill our prophetic destiny as the United States of America, which is Joseph's coat of many color, which is going to be a blessing for the nations, as the rest of the nations who have not, your leaders, you better check with them. Are they leading you down the godless path, or are they bringing you back into a holy Torah relationship with the God of Israel and with those that align with him? See, this is what's coming down. It's a huge shakedown coming down. This is why at Armageddon you're going to have the King of Kings coming, And it's going to be a showdown between, the Hasatan, the quote unquote, the other side, whatever words or appellations you want to give this. All right. But it's coming down to that. And everybody in the middle, it's choose you this day who you're going to serve. Because things are only going to get more chaotic. The war, this is a fight to the finish, people. But America is going to break free, I believe, whether it's for a season or whatever the Father's total purposes are. But I do believe that we have a prophetic destiny. We're not the breadbasket of the world for no reason. All right. And we will be able to, and we don't have our blessings, our strength, our prosperity, our military, our high ideological values for no reason. Not so we can consume it on our own loss, or we can say, oh, let's just make America great again just because we're America. Well, why are we America? Because we have literally a prophetic destiny on us to be a blessing to the nations, and it's not over yet, because there's a lot more to come, and the world is going to need a free, prosperous, healthy America to go out and do huge search and rescues for people who are going to come under insane more amounts of totalitarianism that is going to lead to all sorts of, famines and I just thank the Father. I don't know why that I should have merited to live in this country in this time. And the same with them, just be thankful, but use your life now as a light and a witness. To the King is coming. He's coming. He will totally enforce. And this is the rule of law with an iron fist. And it's for everybody. So we will live in a peaceable kingdom. And we will have total peace and restoration, and the roads will bloom like a desert, and technologies and all this abundance that is in this whole great glorious earth for all people to live in an amazing way will come forward. Okay. God is not dead. He doesn't lie. He hasn't forgotten what he wrote in his book. It's not like he has lapses of memory. It's just he takes a long time sometimes. I realize these things take generations. Okay. But we're seeing it. We're coming to the end of a long period of time. So just in case you don't know, here, this is the 10 Commandments. I love it. This is what is going to go back on every single classroom in America. It's going back in all the government buildings. And I suggest you put it right on your refrigerator, because we're going back to the number one foundation, the rule of law, starting with the 10 Commandments. They're not hard to understand. They've been around for thousands of years. Before that, they were called the Noahide laws. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And the most important one, especially in the Noahide laws, it really spells it out. You are to have just courts. Just courts. The Father really, that's pretty much really what he is enough for him. All right. He's a very limited government kind of guy. He doesn't, there was I said, we get our legislative, executive, and judicial branches from the way Moshe set up the tribes of Israel at that time. All right. But when they, that's why the Father, when they wanted the king, and that Father was saying, like, look, don't give this king, don't make this king. If they had put in a system like we have, maybe, that the king, he gets a shot, he gets 8 years, go in as a great executive and do what you can, fine. But the ball keeps rolling. That's a great system. Okay. But they didn't. They wanted kings, and then they got into having genealogies. But you know what? The Father worked it all together for good, because now we know that the true lineage of the King of Kings comes through that line, and that's fine. But these are things that right now, and there's a great verse in Daniel talking about the last days. I believe if there's a phrase or an understanding, this is Moshe did this very clearly. The Father said, look, I'm going to show you an archetype in heaven. You build it on earth. What is above is below. So the fact that this election is going to go to the courts, it will be decided in the courts, is so interesting, because right now, our nation is before the courts of heaven. Make no mistake. Nothing happens, down here. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Believe me, we are being weighed in the balances right now in the courts of heaven. And it will be a just judgment, and it will come down. So if you're a wicked, woe to the wicked, but tell the righteous it will be well with them. The righteous do not have to worry. Do not have to worry. I want to stop now for 1 second. I want to screen share something. Let me see if I can do this quick. Yeah. Okay. let's just start here, just in case you think I'm making this up, whatever. Because everybody needs a big civic lesson today. I needed one. I've been giving myself a big civic lesson for especially the last 6 months. But this is the Mayflower Compact. This was the very first document that the righteous remnant who he brought to this nation made this covenant with the people, all these 200 people that were together on this boat, which included, not just righteous remnant believers, but speculators, people who are coming to this world to make some money, or I don't know, there were about three or four different groups of people on there, but they did covenant together. So we can do it. If they could do it, we can do it. It says, in the name of God, amen. Listen, people, read it. You're going to see these people. There's no other God. Okay? We can respect the nations. There's 70 gods. Absolutely. But this nation was founded in its documents. It was ratified. It was agreed upon. It was implemented. These people, in the name of God, amen. We whose names are underwritten, the loyal subjects of our dread sovereign, Lord King James, by the grace of God, that's Yahweh Elohim, and having in Great Britain, France, Ireland, okay, king, defender of the faith, and having undertaken for the glory of God. I mean, were these people confused? Did they think, well, maybe we should be politically correct, and maybe we should kind of bring in all the nations? Bullshit, okay? It's very clear. If you want to be an originalist, and I think that's we got to go back to the original intent, because it didn't change, because Yahweh made a covenant with them, starting at Sinai, all the way down through all the generations. And in that generation, he renewed very clearly a similar type of governmental structure in covenant called the United States of America. Okay. It's very clear in the documents, but it says here, they were headed for Virginia. It's so funny how, plot your course kind of lightly, but trust in the Lord, because, you really don't know where it's always going. But they were shooting for Virginia. They ended up in Cape Cod. But it says, we solemnly and mutually in the presence of God. How many times have we been talking about God and one another covenant and combine ourselves together into a civil body politic? A mixed multitude of people decided to come together for the better good and compact on how they were going to order themselves in a civic. Okay, civic. This is government. All right, civic politic for our better ordering and preservation and furtherance of the ends aforesaid. And by virtue, do enact, constitute, and frame such just and equal laws, ordinances, acts, constitutions, and officers from time to time as shall be thought most meet and convenient for the general good of the colony, unto which we promise all due submission and obedience. In witness thereof, we have subscribed our name, at Cape Cod on the 11th of November in the reign of, King James. Now, this I want to go back up to the very first sentences. It says, having undertaken for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith. People, that's our foundation. Now, if you are enraged at the concept that the Christian faith is an inheritor of the God of Israel's Torah commandments and his ordinances, precepts, as it says, you're wrong and you're confused, and I'm sorry. Okay. And it can go really well with you because it's a beautiful blessing if you can begin just to wrap your mind around it. So the thing that's important for me that I'm trying to get across is and I have people that came from these boats, going back to the Griffin. Okay. And my people were not racist. My people were abolitionists. I know these people were ministers and built Brown University and did all sorts of things in New England. Salt of the earth people, Torah keeping people, good, decent, hardworking, friendly, who believed in the good book, so to speak. Okay. So don't try. Oh, I'm just so sick of it. Just sit down and shut up. The way the media is allowing you this, and it's a window and it will close. Praise that or not, to just sort of try to rewrite history. It's a very, very, it's one of the best tactical tools in the book, because if people lose their history, if they don't know who they are, if you can cut them up and untether them, then you can totally re-educate them, re-socialize them, or whatever. But it's not going to happen in America. All right. It's not that we really deserve this intervention by Yahweh, but we're going to get it. All right. Now, so it's this weaponization. It is this intense bordering on hatred that is growing every day in this country. And you just got to wake up, slap yourself, and say, what am I doing? What am I doing? Why would I destroy my nation, over a political candidate who is a proven? See, it's really funny to me. And I absolutely believe that Trump is, and I'll tell you why, is the man that Yahweh has picked. So he's going to get in office. So, it says he puts kings in their place. I mean, the Bible's very clear. He's the one who puts the highest level people in their places. All right. So he's doing that. But why? And he didn't ask, there's a lot of he's not asking that Trump be a Boy Scout or any of that kind of stuff. He's just asking for someone, well, who is a patriot, bottom line, who will defend our Constitution and not let the globalists just walk in here and totally redo our borders and our laws and our whole concept of who we are. Okay. But, Trump is in the Torah codes. I'm sorry, people. I'm a deep student of Jewish mysticism. I know the writings really well. And I know the people who teach the writings. I listen really well. And the gematria and the things that are in our Torah, that our Torah sages, most of them now still residing in the house of Judah, because most Christians don't understand this level. The Torah, the gematria is absolutely clear. Trump's name is in there. They have these insane laws. Philo had over 22,000 laws of, I think that's what the number is. And it's just an insane amount. I've been through this being a Torah scholar. There's so many things you have to keep track of to make sure a Torah scroll is accurately preserved, because it's not just about the letters or the words being translated correctly, although it is getting the vowels in the right place, getting the cantillation marks, everything, but it's their placement, because there's a math in it. God gives many witnesses, and math is one of his most fundamental witnesses, all right, to the structure. There's a math to it. Trump is in there. Biden is in there. Okay, that's why I believe this, all right, and it's very clear. Maybe I could put some links. Some people, you should read a good one. I'll put it in the link. Rabbi Alan Adavana, great Kabbalistic rabbi. I mean, lays it out. It's there. There's a couple of rabbis that are doing this, okay? And because the people have prayed. Okay, if I prayed 30 years for revival, especially among the youth, and what do you think? The Father's never going to answer that? Well, I'm sorry. God answers prayer. It just doesn't do it. It's just not like a slot machine. It's just not on my timetable. Right? So it's going to be answered. All right. We are going to put this nation back on its foundation, which is a 10 commandment, Torah understanding in the fear of Elohim. That's going to happen. All right. And it's not for us. And it's not so that we can consume it on our own lust, because we will come into a prosperous time, because he says, if you obey me, I will bless you. If you disobey me, you're going to have curses. And that's why we have so many quote unquote curses going on in today's society. It's absolutely crazy. But I just want to say to the wicked, well, all right, just let me say this, because a lot of people say, oh, such hate speech. I'm saying, no, you want to know what hate speech is? Let me just say this once and for all. Hate speech is telling anything that is untrue. So from God's point of view, telling people that they can pick their own gender, telling people they can abort their own babies, telling people they can just rampantly live in a mob mentality and never have to pay the consequences and hurt their innocent neighbor. That's not just going to go on forever. Yahweh is not going to blink and turn his eye forever on that. All right. He hates when you tell that, when you condone the behavior of the wicked and tell people it's okay. That's hate speech. All right. Yahweh hates when you take his word and you profane it. when black becomes white and white becomes black, when, you know, what traditionally people always thought was good and decent and normal is now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, it's wrong, it's hateful, and it's racist. Okay, so that's what hates, and he hates those who take bribes. This is just one of the most fundamental, you know, see, there's so many good things that will come out of a second Trump administration. He has very much unfinished business to put this country back on its mooring. But those who take bribes, those who practice sorceries, let me tell you what, people, there is so much, people don't understand what a sorcery is, okay, on the level. You know, when Balaam was called out, if you're biblically illiterate, and if you're listening to me and you don't know what I'm talking about, you know, go get a Bible. Those who practice sorceries, Balaam was called out to curse the nation of Israel. Now here, people, let me just tell you, these are big players. This is like a Gates, you know, go into, well, I won't name call per se right now, but these are very high players, okay? Balaam was just not nobody. He was an extremely influential sorcerer, high occultist, wizard, that Luciferian, who of the highest order, and was asked to curse Israel, curse the whole nation, people, the whole nation, not just a little pocket, not just one person, the whole nation. Who in the world would think that they would have the power to curse and bring down evil on a whole nation? All right. Yet this is the level that these quote unquote influencers and handlers have, or these principalities and powers, when you tap into them. And yet Balaam had enough sense to realize, well, you know what? I can't really touch them, because Yahweh's hand is on them. And if we can get our act together, people, and Yahweh's hand is on us again, trust me, all our problems are going to start to be solved. It's not like a magic wand or just something really miraculous, but we will figure stuff out. Right now, it's a massive confusion. Nobody can agree, and we can't get anywhere. Well, when you put Yahweh, he makes a way. And that's what we need to have tort reform, term limits. We need to do election reform. We need true election reform. I mean, getting our borders locked down, opening up our country again. I mean, we got to get rid of the spirit of fear, this COVID mentality that we can be defeated by something that has a 99% survival rate. I mean, this is what I mean. Where's people's logic today? I don't care what you need to learn to differentiate the spirit of fear and common sense. Okay? They're totally different animals. One will preserve you, and one will totally, entangle you or put you in a box or completely not produce good fruit. All right? So it's a pretty easy thing, in my opinion. But going back to this concept of sorceries, we have so many sorceries coming at us from our food. It's just an unbelievable thing. People, I mean, Americans, I'm sorry, but you know, baby, we got to get our food, our gluttony issue in this country under control. Number one, that is the real virus that's killing most Americans. Okay, number one. And that, again, keeping Torah, keeping your appetites in control, but at the same time, these wicked people who put stuff in our food, who are deliberately, make no mistake. But that's a whole subject. I don't want to go into this, but truly, the practices of sorceries, they're psychological, the psychological warfare that goes on people constantly. And it's just I cannot even go on Pinterest. So, and just have a clean screen. I gotta have all these, and trust me, I mean, I do not have an issue with pornography. I don't, okay? There's no reason for my computer, except that the algorithm, it's being forced on me. It's being forced in front of my, you know, the subtle seduction that is rampant. And I'm not even a guy, you know, I can't imagine, but it's there. And the fact that I have to be subjected to it, I'm pissed off as hell. Get that crap off of the screens. I don't care what you do in a little closed door, you know, way, but you do not have a right to parade that sin in front of me, my children, wherever I look in this culture today. It is absolutely disgusting. It's deplorable. There is no excuse for it, and it needs to go. These tech giants who are psychologically doing warfare on our good morals. Remember, good moral, you know, evil associations corrupts good morals. These people, Lock them up. I hope we have enough jail room. Okay, those who intellectual. Oh my God, the intellectual sorceries that are foisted on us constantly. Not only, screaming at somebody, you're stupid, you're worthless, you don't know anything. You have all these bad characteristics because you, whatever, don't support my agenda. All right. Not only having to deal with that kind of constant verbal abuse, but the intellectual assault on the foundations of our country that most people are pretty much today, you'd ask, well, 50-50, I don't know. Maybe they believed in the Bible. Maybe they, like the 10 Commandments and stuff. Are you crazy? These people, this is what I mean. Okay, were there bad apples? People, there's always bad apples. Stop bringing the bad apples up to me. That's why we got laws. Lock them up, okay? But in front of the general, we have a standard that we will uphold and we will enforce. All right? And the righteous do not need to be afraid of just laws because they're not written for them. The righteous are Torah keepers. It is for the wicked. So this intellectual assault of telling us that there's something wrong with our foundation, no. How about fornication? How about all the sexual sins? I want to tell you a little secret. God does care. God very much cares the level at which any group, society keeps the Torah commandments. And they've been known forever all over the globe. People, the golden rule, love your neighbor as yourself. It is in so many religions. This is not rocket science. Okay. But I shouldn't even do it, but thou shalt not bear false witness. Every time you call me names or do it, you're bearing false witness against me. You're in deep doo-doo with the Father. You don't understand that. You can't go on lying forever. Okay? And there is so much blatant lying and false witness that is going on right now. It's incredible. But let me just say this, liars do not inherit the kingdom of God. And we're going to find the media. These people, they just lie with impunity. And if you're paying attention, just the fact that on Google, you cannot even find right now the correct information of what's out there. Listen, all right, I wasn't going to go into it. There's my YouTube channel. All right here. I have been shadow banned for well over a year. Extremely shadow banned for well over a year. My subscription base has not grown by 1 in 13 months. That's just mathematically impossible. I'm talking to people all over the world. I'm talking to so many new people and getting that, and they're all telling me, oh, I listen to this, I subscribe, and they're subscribed. And you're telling me not one person? I have had likes taken away. I have had comments. See, the way YouTube works, I can see on one side the comments, yet I see they're never actually posted on the actual YouTube site where people would come and see it. This whole idea of having a kill file or all these blocked. I just put a thing on Facebook this morning. Within 2 hours, I haven't had a single hit or like on it. I'm not saying it's about, but that's not normal. That's not right. All my friends I've talked to out there on Saturday, people would be liking it and making a comment or whatever, and not one. There's definitely some blocking. There are algorithms. They know this. The whole Dominion software thing. This is all coming out. How the elitists can manipulate us behind the scenes, which through these very intensely intricate communication systems that we have put all over us. Trust me, he is the God of this world. He is the God of the principality of the power of the air. All right. What do you think goes through the air? What's in the air right now? My brain, my head. Okay. Full of thoughts, airwaves going through. All right. This is where, and if you think that you can just get away with defying God and thumbing your nose at him and, pretending and saying, oh, I'm just sorry. It's going to be a very rude and shocking awakening. That's only if you want to stay resistant. All right. But if you want to join the true resistance against evil, then come on board and you will find your life, your soul, your heart, the healing, the blessing, the vision that it will be astounding. So we've got and then the law is not for righteous. This is, 1 Timothy is very clear. The law is not for the righteous, but it is for the lawless. Okay? It is for the ungodly, the sinful, the unholy, the profane, truce breakers. And he goes on to say, it is not okay, people write just laws that benefit everyone. All right. And normally I don't have to be afraid of retribution because I'm not out breaking laws. Okay. I can now listen, it is not to the point where these things get so twisted where we've lost so much biblical perspective. See, that's why I will go back to originalism. I will trust these founding fathers with their documents that they gave us because they were Torah keepers. Not like today, where these people they're godless, God deniers, God haters, and they're not even living godly lifestyles in the least. Okay, so why do I have to listen to them? I don't. All right. Jesus, you shall know them by their fruit. Now, listen, it isn't farting cows that are causing global warming. This whole concept of and this is when it's so sad because they're lying to our youth. They're telling them, oh, the planet's only got 10 or 15 more years and we're going to implode. No, we're not. That's not true. There's nothing in the Torah text that says the world, the physicalness is coming to an end. What's coming to an end is the wicked's hegemony over the righteous. That is what is coming to an end, and none too soon. So it's our sins that is causing nature to turn on us, along with the wicked adding to them of weather warfare. So, I mean, this is where there's just total confusion. People don't understand. They don't see correctly. And then you have the wicked just lying and just making up all these crazy things. Sure, there is abuse. Everything. This is what I said. Did you think you were going to have a perfect world? There is abuse in everything. Everything has the potential for abuse. If you didn't realize that, just look at it, you got healthy plants and you got poisonous plants. Yes, there's abuse. There's potential for abuse everywhere. This is why the fathers are saying, you want to be wise? Be Torah-centric. I will I will show you where to walk and where everything is and what to stay away from and what is good and what is bad and what is going to be harmful to you and what will be for for your health. So these things are not rocket science, but from some reason, and the enemy, we allowed ourselves for many reasons through our own, lusts and our own unwillingness to really follow the Torah in terms of these lifestyles and let ourselves get talked out of it, allowed this media to parade in front of us for 30 years of complete garbage. Evil associations corrupts good morals. If you live on media junk, it will eventually come out in the way you talk, the way you act, and the way you make decisions. There is just no getting around it. So I'm just saying it's time now for this thing to swing. So I'll just wrap it up. It's time for this thing to swing. I absolutely believe Trump will come out on top. It was a red wave because the people are sick of it. The people are waking up. We have been handled. We have been played. And it's very serious today because it's these globalists. They want to take America down. They were hoping they could do it. I absolutely believe it might still be a fight. I don't know how big the struggle is going to be, but I know that there are people willing to pay the price. Absolutely. Give me liberty or give me death. Whoa, man. So that is good. And the fake news, I mean, if you are believing and a false narrative, it's going to become exposed. This is where we're going. And, the thing about the conservatives, like I said, at least they have kept the moral base, the ethical foundation. They're not perfect. I absolutely believe I have some prophetic intel on some of the things, the ways in which the Father is going to deal with Republicans or people we're all from that kind of a bent and understanding. There are definitely still some golden calves in that mix. But right now, he is really going to free us up, I believe, from a huge extent, from this principality, this monster principality, the prince of the airwaves, who has control of the media right now. That's coming down in, and we're going to fix a lot of stuff. Now, for people who are going to be really upset and really, all I can say is there is a healing balm in Gilead. You can continue to kick against the pricks, or you can, like all of us had to do, you can just sort of go, mea culpa, Father. I guess I was a little wrong. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Let's move on and let me enter into all the blessings that are promised to those who inherit the land. So when the enemy comes in like a flood, believe me, the Father says that he will raise up a righteous standard. And that is exactly what we're going to see in the next weeks and months. So I say, God bless America. Let's preserve our union. This is a very scary and dangerous time, but people need to be level-headed. And as my husband said, this is his legacy. He said, we need to be gentle, calm, and kind. Shabbat shalom. See you in the next video.